Today is Tuesday, January 17th, 2016, and today I bring you a story about Barack Obama and more of these so-called midnight regulations, things he's trying to propose and pass and get into actual law, or to get into the minutia of things before he leaves office just in 3 days here, which is, a very long time coming. But he's been trying to do these little things here for a while. But this latest one involves the public school systems of the United States of America. Now, he wants to have local and state funds, not federal, local and state funds be required to be diverted from so-called higher income schools and diverted to lower income schools. So basically, it's income redistribution. Like, let's say you worked all your life to pay for a nice house in a nice area. You have a great job, make a lot of money. You sacrifice for 20, 30 years of your life or whatever it is to be able to send your children and or grandchildren to a great school. Now, money from that school that you have worked all your life to send your kids to will now be cut and then sent to lower income schools to help them to try and become better. Now, some would say that this is going to be a great idea. And by the way, I have the full description of this whole plan in the box below. It does involve local funds, not federal funds, which is a key thing because it is something that's coming from the federal government. So somebody could say, oh, well, it's federal money. No, it's local and state. But I digress. Let's get back on track. Now, some would say this is a good thing because it's like, hey, why not have the poorer schools in the area benefit from the richer schools? Let's make everybody equal. Let's just put everybody on the even playing field. But then you have to understand, when you do that, if you believe that the money is going to be the deciding factor on having a good education or a bad education, then you also must believe that taking money from a higher income school will make their education less effective. So you go from something like this is the higher income school and this is the lower income school. You go from something like this to this, and eventually like this, because the people that are up here are not able to, lift all boats, so to speak. But I think that's wrong either way. I don't think it's going to be correct to think that if you take money from a higher income school, that it would impact them in a negative way as far as their education is concerned. And I also don't think that if you give money to a lower income school from the higher income school, that it would magically improve their education. Because we got to think about a couple of things here. What does money really do? Do you know that Newark City Public Schools in New Jersey, they get the most amount of money per capita for each student out of all the other schools in the USA? But yet, Lil Raheem still can't read. Why? Mark Zuckerberg gave them $400 million. It might have been a couple years ago. It was not that long ago. And all of it evaporated. It didn't get down to the kids that actually needed it. Raheem still can't read. So you got to ask yourself, why? Why is all this money given to these kids? And where is it going? By the way, the money that's being proposed to be shifted is right around $1 billion. And that equates to about $440,000 for each school. And what are you really going to do with that money? Are you going to be able to get better teachers and better students? Because at the end of the day, beyond all of the stuff you want to put on top, beyond all the amenities, beyond all the extra stuff that makes the school more attractive to go to for students and teachers and their parents, beyond all of that, the core of what makes education itself good is the quality of the students and the teachers. So do you think that given a ghetto school system or a very poor rural area school system more money, will that attract better teachers? Let's be honest. And the students themselves, if they come from a poor area and they come from a ghetto area or whatever, are they getting the education that they need at home? Because that's the main thing, because a lot of the higher income schools, these kids come into school from kindergarten already knowing how to read, how to write, and everything else. Like, let's just say, here's a prime example. Let's just say little Johnny, he's the white kid. His mom is at home teaching him how to read, how to write his own name, how to count to 10, everything before he gets to kindergarten. She's doing flashcards. She has like little apps on her phone or her tablet or something like that. She's putting little Johnny in front of to teach him the basics of how to read, how to write, and all of that before he gets to school. So in kindergarten, he's already prepared to receive information that can help him to develop further and faster because he already has that foundation. Now, on the other hand, little Jamal, his mom is at work. His mom is a nurse or something like that. And she can't even read herself. She's not even thinking about trying to teach him anything. She's not thinking about, giving him flashcards or letting him use her phone that she has and go onto one of these websites or download an app that can kind of, get his brain prepared to go to kindergarten. He can't read, he can't write or anything in kindergarten. So already he's behind. Now, little Johnny might go to a higher income school and Jamal might go to a lower income school. Now, if the school that's lower income is full of Jamals and the school that's higher income is full of Johnnies, and then the teachers in there, they come from the same kind of environment of a Johnny and the higher income school, and the teachers in the lower income school came from the same kind of environment as Jamal, which school's going to perform better? And that right there has nothing to do with the money, because I didn't mention how much money was spent for each school. The money is not important because, like I said, New York City Public Schools gets the most amount of money per student out of all the other schools in the US of A. But Raheem still can't read. That's the problem. The problem is the actual people that are in the schools, not the money. This is just a political move, and it's part of Obama's legacy. That's all. It won't do anything to help. Me personally, I've been to a lot of different schools in my life. The average student, I guess, they probably go to 3 schools during grade school, elementary, middle, and high, and then they go off to a college. But me, I went to a lot of different little daycare centers where they got like little education programs. I went to a Christian preschool. Then I went to one school for kindergarten and first, another one for second, another one for third, fourth, and fifth, another one for sixth, another one for seventh and eighth. And then I went to 2 high schools. Technically, I went to one high school for a month and then the other high school for the remaining period of time. And then college, I went to 2 colleges, but the one college had 3 campuses that were kind of different from each other. And then I went to a 4-year university for a short period of time. So I got experience about a lot of different kind of schools and how they operate. When I was a kid, we were growing up, when you kind of in a low income area, that's common to kind of like hop from school to school, neighborhood to neighborhood, apartment complex to apartment complex. That was kind of normal for us to do. So we talk about it. It was like, man, I want to go to X, Y, and Z school because they got X, Y, and Z amenity or whatever. It was never about, well, the education is going to be better at this school or that school. I mean, you might think that, but the reason why education might be better at a certain school is because of the area, because of the kind of kids that will go there. It just so happens that a lot of times, kind of like once you get into a higher income area, you're going to have better parents and better kids. That's just the main thing. When you go to a lower income school, you're going to have worse parents and worse kids. That's why the school is like that. It's hard to attract teachers to go there and stay there. I remember I went to a magnet school in 7th and 8th grade, going away from the school I went to in 6th grade. And this school that I went to was lower income than the school I came from, which was not magnet. And the teachers there at the so-called magnet school, it was hard to attract good teachers and keep them because you got a lot of kids that come from low income areas that were in their school. It was one guy that left during the actual school year and went to a whole different place. I think he went to Detroit to sell cars from being a teacher in 7th grade. And at that time we had 8th grade classes. But when that happened, we had a permanent sub that came in and gave us worksheets for the rest of the actual semester or for the rest of the school year. Those are the kind of things that actually hurt, And then you could say, well, if you get more money to the actual teacher, then maybe they would stay. Maybe that's true. But at the same time, you're still dealing with a lot of different things. It was teachers that was getting beat up by the kids in school. And at a certain point, who wants to actually deal with that? Who wants to deal with a dangerous environment? Even if the money is there, you may not be able to pay these teachers enough money to stay in that kind of environment. Detroit, I think they were paying like $71,000 or something like that for teachers. If I'm wrong about that, if you're in Detroit and you know better, let me know in the comments below. But they're paying a lot of money to these teachers, but it's difficult to keep them when you got the actual building that's falling apart, and also the kids that don't know how to behave, and the parents that can't read themselves and are sending their kids to school totally unprepared for school. They can't behave, they can't read, they can't write, they can't do anything. They can't count to 10. They can't do anything. That's why a lot of the school systems are messed up. The money can help certain things, but at the same time, it's not a panacea, and it's far from it, because there's much more to school and having a good education than money. As I close, I'm gonna close on this note from my college days. I remember I went to a community college, and then I transferred to a 4-year university. Now, normally you would think a 4-year college, people are paying, 5 figures to go to every year with dorms and everything else, a football stadium, all this so-called money. You would think that they will offer a better education, but is that true? I went for graphic design. That was my major in college. That's what I did at the community college and also at the 4-year college for the brief time that I went. Now, I graduated from the community college with zero debt, no debt at all. I had Pell Grants and I also had money out of my own pocket. And the Pell Grants weren't for that much money because the tuition was not much. You're talking about $1,000 for a semester, maybe $2,000 for a semester, not much. My first semester at TCC, the community college, Topwater Community College, I paid out of my own pocket at age 17 from the money I had at a job washing dishes at Old Country Buffet. You understand what I'm saying? I saved the money up and then I paid my first semester, books and everything. No Pell Grants. That's before I knew how to go through the process of applying for Pell Grants. So the tuition was not expensive at all. But then once I went to ODU, which was the 4-year college, I took out a loan for like $7,000 just for 1 year. But I did not have any debt from the community college. And at the community college, you had a much better environment for my major, which was graphic design. You had a building dedicated to art. You go into the building. There's 3 stories, by the way. So it's kind of a small building in Old Town, downtown Portsmouth. You go in the building, it's like a little art gallery in there. Very pleasing to the eye. You go up, it's like an elevator. You got, 3 floors. You go up to the 3rd floor and you in the graphic design room. It has nice spacious desks. At that time, this is 2005. They had the brand new iMacs at the time, which look similar to the ones that are out now, but the actual monitor was not as thick, as far as the depth is concerned. But it wasn't one of them big box CRTs, which were the previous ones that came before that. But it was great. You had nice, comfortable chairs, big, spacious white desks. You had natural sunlight coming in. So you didn't even really need the lights to be on, like fluorescent lights or anything like that. You can just open the blinds up and let the natural light come in. It was very relaxing and very soothing. And it was very easy for us to get work done because it was a nice environment. It was not tight or anything like that. Now I go to ODU. ODU, they have like a computer lab, like a high school computer lab. It was very tight. They had the older Macs, like kind of like the big box CRTs, really kind of amateurish. And it's, in the way that it was done. And this was a year later after I graduated from the community college. But I'm supposed to believe that the money that ODU had was going to give me a better education, better equipment, a better situation in general, but they did not. I dropped out of that school after I realized that the education, in more ways than one, not just the actual equipment, it was not as good as the place I came from. So at a certain point, you got to look at the people that are there making decisions, the administration, the students, and the teachers. All of that matters, and the money is one thing that can give you amenities, maybe little, nice little things on top, maybe a new gym or something like that, maybe new equipment, shinier books, but will it improve the education? Will it raise somebody's IQ level? Will it make for a better environment in the kids' home life and the surrounding area of the school? But I digress. That was my rant on that. I think that Obama is just trying to improve his legacy. But what do you think? Do you think that this is all about his legacy? He's just trying to do things that says, hey, you know what? I'm the man here. I took money from the so-called rich schools and give it to the poor. I'm Robin Hood. I steal from the rich and give to the poor. Is that what you think? Do you think that this is a good thing that he's doing here because the so-called poor schools deserve it? They deserve that amount of money. Now, if that's your assertion, then please explain to me how the money will be used to improve these poor schools. Like I said, Newark City Public Schools, which is, a very crime infested area, they get the most amount of money per student out of all the actual schools in the USA, but yet Raheem still can't read. Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. That's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.